Thanks for joining the Joss and Crowd podcast, where we talk about photography, business, life, and a little bit more. Hello. Today we're here with Debbie. I'm really excited. Known Debbie for quite some time now, and I actually had the pleasure of photographing her recently for her business, which she's going to tell us about. How are you today?
I am great. How are you doing?
I'm good. The sun is out.
Awesome.
That makes me
I know.
happy.
For sure, for sure. Especially in Ohio, right?
Yes, it definitely has been a long winter. So tell us what's going on. What made you start your business and what great things are going on right now?
Well, lots of great things actually. Just a little bit of history. I was thinking about this just the other day. Time goes so fast, and I started my personal training business now 12 years ago. And that's kind of how everything started in my health and wellness journey. Always loved fitness, always loved, physical activity and eating good foods. And I was in corporate America for 9 years after I graduated from college, and then ended up staying home for 7 years with my two kids. They were 2 years apart. So I literally spent 7 years staying at home. And it was really during that time that I got involved in physical fitness, and I got my personal training certifications with the assumption that when my kids were both in school full time, that I would do something with it. And that's exactly what I did. So when I was 35, I actually started my personal training business, and I rented space from different gyms for 5 years. And then 6 years ago, I opened my brick and mortar. So I focus on primarily women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, busy. I get a lot of busy moms. It's turned into more small group fitness, not so much one-on-one, but I get groups in there and I train them all collectively at one time. And it's also, when I started my brick and mortar, I brought in a staff. I got help. So I have 4 other trainers now. So I'm not quite working the crazy hours that I used to. And I have yoga teachers as well. So we really are a full wellness facility, because during these years as well, I got my certified nutrition coach, wellness coach. So I'm very, very knowledgeable in food, and gut health is something that is really important to me. You and I have talked about that before. So I do kind of run 2 businesses right now, between the brick and mortar and then my online business that I really just kicked off last fall. Actually, when you and I did that photo shoot, it was right after that photo shoot that I kicked that off, and that's getting some really, really good tread right now.
That's awesome. So I know a lot of our listeners are all the things that you listed, and busy moms and business owners. What are some tips and suggestions that you have for people? I know it's so easy to grab snacks and snack all day, and especially like with photographers. Yesterday I was editing for 13 hours, so it's hard to figure out, like, don't graze. Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Like, what are things that you've noticed that like, are there patterns that people do with different businesses that they have or jobs that they have that can kind of
Yeah.
break?
So my biggest thought with that really comes down to preparation and planning. I know, for example, for you, you go in the studio all day, you pack your food, you pack your snacks, right? That's
Yep.
important. And the biggest thing about living a really healthy lifestyle is just being prepared. Trying not to go out, taking a break at lunch and going out and grabbing whatever, because, the fact of the matter is we just don't know what's in all of the food if we're not preparing it ourselves. I mean, it's hard enough when you're preparing it yourself to make sure that you're buying organic when possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just important to be prepared and plan. And when I coach my clients, one of the biggest thing that I do coach them on is finding one day a week where you always have a consistent maybe couple of hours where you can just prep everything that you could to grab quickly for your breakfasts and your lunches. I'm not saying prepare all of your food in advance. I mean, there are some meals that it just makes sense. Make 5 overnight oats, right? Make 5 mason jar salads, but always have a plan for what's going to happen at dinner. Have the meat thawed out. So then you're not just going home after a busy day. There's sports. You've been at work all day long and you're just, oh, let's order a pizza. Let's do takeout. That truly, in my opinion, is the reason that so many people do fail a lot in their health and wellness goals, that they're not as healthy as they could be because they're just not prepared.
I can agree with that 1,000%. I know that with photographers, we do, like, especially if people have shoots back to back, we do so much and we get so excited that we literally forget to eat. I'm notorious for spending the entire day at the studio working, and then it's like 4 o'clock and I haven't eaten. And I have to consciously go, okay, don't eat all this garbage just because you're hungry. Eat what you prepared or make something that's good. And it's been a huge difference for me. A couple of months ago, I ended up moving my office to my studio, which made it easier because then I can, like you said, I do pack a lunch and have it here. And I'm getting to the point too, if I'm in a shoot, because sometimes they last a really long time, I'll be like, let me grab one of my protein bars because I know that I will crash later and I'm trying to take care of myself better. And I think creative people, that I have a lot of listeners that are business owners and a lot of them are creative, but we get so hyper focused on something that we completely forget to eat. And I know that that sounds crazy to some people, but I hear it all of the time. I remember I used to set timers and it was like, okay, it's 11 o'clock, it's time to eat lunch. And people thought I was nuts. I'm like, if I don't do this, I won't remember to eat. But it's so easy to fall out of bad habits. What do you suggest when people fall back into their old ways?
Well, first of all, I love what you said about the timer because that is something that I coach people on. Like if you have to set a timer on your phone that tells you to eat or to take 5 minutes and meditate, whatever that is during your day, do it. And so I love that point, and I agree with you 100% on that. But I mean, honestly, it's just when you fall out, it's like anything else. You've got to give yourself grace. And, for years and years, I coached people on just fitness and nutrition. And then as I get older, it's one of those things that I've realized so many people fall out and are not successful because they feel like they had a bad weekend. And then Monday comes and they're just frustrated with themselves and they don't want to get back on the wagon. And you have to really flip the script in your head. And you'll probably hear me say that phrase more than once in here because it truly is a mindset thing. And when I started to truly realize that so much of your health and wellness is your mind, and it's not the food you put in your mouth, it's not the exercise, it's what you say and tell yourself that you can do, it will change everything. And so when I coach women on things like giving them ways to decrease their stress, help their sleeping patterns, get a self-care routine, like all of these things that aren't fitness and food related, I will cover first. All that other stuff just falls into place. And when you can just get better with yourself, and self-love is a real true thing. And I know some people just kind of roll their eyes. It's so cliche. No, it is the truest of the true things. That's when you really love and respect yourself so that when you go out and maybe you have a meal, I don't think any food is bad. But when you go out and maybe you eat something that you don't normally do, I'm all about just enjoy it. And then know that you can get up the next day and just start all over again, drink a big glass of water. I try to give women things to help them get on track the next day. I'm really big, like I said, into gut health. And I think intermittent fasting is a great thing for people to do. It gives your gut a break, your digestive system a break. And then when you get up in the morning, drink some water and break your fast with something really nutritious and good for you, like bone broth. And just get your system going in the right direction first thing from breaking that fast. And it's just very easy. It ends up being so habitual and easy that you don't even worry about it, those couple of meals that you might have had during the week that weren't quote unquote on your nutrition plan. So does that make sense, how it's so much of how you talk to yourself as to whether or not you're going to be successful? Because I'm just hate negative self-talk. It's the worst thing.
I think too, a lot of times we grew up in a different culture where it was don't eat after 7, it all turns to
Right.
fat, and we had all of these like things that have been programmed into our mind, and it's crazy how I ended up joining Title Boxing. I don't normally mention brands, but they're a great brand to
Very good.
box
Yeah.
at, and they have a huge focus on mindset for their workouts. And that was when it shifted for me. And I was like, everything I learned was a lie.
Right.
And it was all like the last round, they would literally have us kneel. They'd turn off the lights and the whole place. The music would be really loud. And he would just kind of get into a whisper and he'd get in our heads. And he was like, you're
Yeah.
tired. You're worn down, but how much more do you got in you? And like, it was such a mindset. And that last round I looked forward to because I would like leave it all in the box. And
Mm-hmm.
that really kind of started shifting my perspective about or the mindset, like you said, of health and wellness, because it had no bearing of what I had consumed that day. It was the
Right.
fact that I showed up and I did
Mm-hmm.
the work, I got moving, and I proved to myself that I could go all of this rounds. But um, I remember I had a cupcake one time when I was working out. I had lost a ton of weight. Someone's like, I can't believe you're eating a cupcake. You're all about health and wellness. And I'm like, I'm also about enjoying life. And I know
Right.
I'm going to go run later. Like, there's a
Right.
compromise here. You don't, I think the people that always end up um, missing out or starving themselves of their fun things or desserts or just their favorite meal, that's not a way that I would want to live. And I'm sure
Right.
you agree. Like it's, and you don't want to eat a dozen cupcakes.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's about balance, and that's one of the, I have a 90-day coaching program, and it's literally every week for 12 weeks I cover a different module. And one of the things that I cover in there is just balance, which is what you were talking about. We have that 90s diet culture mindset of diet pills and
Awful.
cardio all day long. And no one was talking then about women in weightlifting, because what's everybody tell us? You're going to get bulky. Well,
Hmm.
guess what? We don't have the amount of testosterone in our body to get bulky like a man.
Hmm.
And if you're getting a little bit bigger than what you would like, then it's a matter of changing your nutrition around. And it has nothing to do. There's so many more benefits of lifting weights for women. And I've been able to help women really realize that. Now, I'm not saying cardio is bad, but if that's what you like to do, you should do what you like to do. If that's how you relieve stress by going for a run, great, do it because you enjoy it. But if you're looking at overall health and wellness, you've got to add some sort of resistance training, into your regimen. But none of that's going to be any good if you're not having the right nutrition. And the biggest thing with that is protein. I always tell women to have 20 to 30 grams of protein for their first meal every day and come out of the gate strong. And so many people don't get the required amount of protein that they need. And it truly is, on a cellular level, the most important thing out of the three macronutrients that you can put into your body consistently.
It's funny that you brought protein up because I started like counting calories and all of that with an app. And I wasn't even getting that many grams of protein in my day. And I was shocked because I'm not a huge meat person, but I never thought about it. I never saw it in black and white. And so
Mhm.
I've incorporated protein shakes now and
Mhm.
protein bars and whatnot and trying to have that. And it's so crazy because I've had conversations, especially with my mom, who was always the one that was on the diet pills and don't eat. She's still
Mhm.
this day, she's 71, and she'll be like, I can't eat after 7. I'm like, that has no merit because your
Right.
body doesn't know that you're going to bed in 5 hours. Like if you're hungry, you need to eat. It's because you're hungry. But I was talking to her about protein and she was like, I don't think I've ever had that much protein. I'm like, because we've spent all these years learning about all these like don't have carbs
Low
and
fat. Yeah.
low fat. Yeah, it's crazy. And like it's weird how I've had a little bit more energy that I've noticed because I've had the protein and just subtle differences like that. One of the quotes I was raised on was eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and dinner like a pauper.
Hmm.
And it's funny because sometimes I don't want breakfast and sometimes I
Right.
just want a protein shake. So I think, like you said, it's a mindset shift and it's uncomfortable for sure. I just started working out with weights in the last
Woohoo!
week. I
Really?
know I'm super pumped and no pun intended. The I was a cardio person. I loved running. I love walking, especially long distance, and it's not working for my body anymore. So I've had to pivot. Um, Being in menopause for my hysterectomy and whatnot, weights are supposed to be helpful. So it is definitely something where I'm like, you have to do protein because you're doing weights, but our bodies are just always changing. So what worked before
Right.
doesn't mean it's going to work again.
Exactly. And it is harder when you're in, perimenopause and menopause. It changes. But the one thing that, should always remain the same is, first of all, do any sort of daily activity that you enjoy. That if you're not getting any enjoyment out of it, then, that's unfortunate. So, my cardio, I actually enjoy a walk. I
Mhm.
will um, I like to walk outside, but I'm also one of those people that I'll throw on a podcast, go down in the basement and walk on my treadmill as I'm listening to a podcast. And I enjoy that. That is a constructive way because I'm doing my self care at the same time I'm doing my physical activity. So it's
Mhm.
like I just checked off that two of those boxes of the day that are good for me and make me feel good. And so it again, it's finding something that you like and focus on that. And then sometimes, you have to find that workout that we don't all love getting up and going to weight lifts to lift weights in the morning. But at the end of the day, once women in particular start to see the benefits, how it makes them feel, they're sleeping better. They have more energy. They're falling asleep faster and staying asleep because you're literally physically making yourself more tired
Mhm.
than you would if you didn't do anything. So you start to have those benefits, and then you're drinking your water and you're drinking your bone broth and getting all that good collagen in your system. So then your skin and your hair is improving. So when you start to see the physical changes on the inside and the outside, when you start to make these little positive changes, that I think is what keeps people going. It's just getting to the point where you stick to it long enough to see the benefits and you have a good coach, whether it be, a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, whatever it is, when you have somebody that has the knowledge that you get that help you need, that's the key right there, is investing in yourself and finding a professional and no longer relying on the Google to tell you what you should do because you're going to get all these different ideas, right? So I think it truly comes down to investing in yourself when it comes to your health and wellness, and that can change anything.
This probably also contributes to the accountability and the cost too, because if you're paying for something, you're more likely to show up. And
Right?
if you have somebody else that knows what your goals are, they're going to be your cheerleader and help support you. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's it's definitely a mindset, like you said earlier, we said it numerous times, is
Mhm.
like, I don't want to waste my money and I want to get healthier and I don't want to disappoint somebody that I've paid to help me.
Right. Right.
So it's a nice thing. Do you have check-ins where do you have a group or a community or
So we have a very active private Facebook page for our clients, which is a great tool. We've got over 100 members, and it's just a place where everybody can go and kind of chit chat, and the community itself is a really strong community because you'll have anywhere from 6 to 10 people in a class at the same time. So they really get to know one another and cheer each other on. And that's been so great, is literally just the community of like-minded people. It goes back to what you were saying, just the accountability. So not only are they accountable to me and my trainers and my yoga teachers, but they're accountable to Susie, that's gonna be texting you later. Where were you? You weren't at your normal 8:30 class today. Like, it legit will keep people going, knowing that they're showing up for themselves, but they're also showing up for other people. But I think that's innately a woman, right? Like, we
mhm.
yearn for those connections, and it's something that keeps us going, because as women, I mean, you and I both know we can tend to very easily put others before ourselves. And this, just even that 1 hour at the studio where you can put yourself first, can completely change the tone for the rest of your day.
All of our listeners just nodded their head and was like, "Yes, we put everybody before us." It's I think just built in with us, especially as business owners, we want to take care of people. But my dad has always said, you on an airplane, you have to put your mask on first
Right.
before you can help others. And
Mhm.
um, I definitely have made a decision this year that I'm putting myself first, and it is so uncomfortable. It is
Mhm.
so awkward, and it is a struggle for sure. And I just keep thinking, like, this is going to matter in 3 months. Like, you're going to see the
Right.
results in 3 months. Like, every day, I'm just going to say 3 months, even though that 3 months is going to pass. Because it's little changes. And if I have a bad day, I'm like, nope, we're going to try this again tomorrow and
Yeah.
give ourselves grace. Like, a prime example, we're all business owners. If we screw up or do something wrong, we don't shut down our business. So,
Right.
like, why do we do that with our health? Is like, well, I screwed up once, I missed the workout, I didn't do this, and then we're hard on ourselves. So I think it's great that you have a group that can check on each other and that you check in. Do you help with like what to eat and recipes and
Yeah, and that's huge too. And I actually have another Facebook page. I know we're such the Facebook generation, right? But
yeah.
it's just for that health and wellness. So it's one of those things where, as a nutrition coach, I do try to tell people that it's not just about the workouts, it's about the food. The food is so important. And so, yeah, I have meal plans and recipe books and all sorts of stuff on my website to help people with.
That's awesome. I think there might be a delay in our connection. Um,
Okay.
I don't know if you are frozen on your screen, but you're frozen on mine, but I can hear you. So
Okay, good.
that's okay. Um, so I think like one of the things that you were talking about with me, I don't think we were on the podcast about it, is like manifestation and mindset is such a huge role. And I know I've talked about it in some of my past podcasts about the way our words are. And I think, like, especially being a photographer, I hear so many people be like, oh, I just want to lose 5 pounds before I do a photo shoot, or I don't like my picture taken because I look fat. And I'm like, stop saying these words. Um, like, what are your thoughts on that with like manifestation and mindset with your health?
I mean, it's the same thing. You can tell yourself that you will not succeed in your health and wellness goals, and that you're going to be, I'm just going to be 20 pounds overweight for the rest of my life, and that's how it is. And I have a history of diabetes and heart disease in my family, and I just have to live with that, and that is how it is. So you can manifest that. You can
Mhm.
manifest all day long that that's just how you're going to live your life. Um, and if that's what you choose, then that is what you choose. But you will also manifest losing that 20 pounds if you wake up every morning and tell yourself an affirmation. I can do this today. Today, I'm going to walk a mile, and I am going to eat healthy foods. And, then you're going to manifest greatness. It's all how you speak to yourself and what you do. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert. I'm not even going to sit here for a second and tell you that I don't wake up some mornings and not have a great attitude, right? Like I'm human. There are some mornings when I'm going to wake up and, oh man, if I just had 5 more clients, then I could do this. If I just, stayed with my protein goals, I would do this. And you can get down on yourself, but again, we keep going back to mindset, and I'll say flip the script again. You can turn that all around. And I don't know if you listen to the Mel Robbins podcast at all.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Give yourself a high five in the mirror.
Mhm.
Think about that. She had a podcast that I loved, and she was talking about just getting up in the morning and thinking about the power of a high five. So when you're with your friends and somebody got a promotion and you're like, that's awesome, and you high five and
Mhm.
you're so excited for the other person, and that's going to release that dopamine in your brain that's going to make you and your friend happy for each other. And you just have to get to the point where you do that to yourself, where an affirmation that I am going to do great things today, I am happy, I am loved. I'm a big fan of affirmations. And yeah, giving yourself a high five in the mirror might be silly at first, but isn't that fun too? Like, why
Mhm.
not wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is giggle at yourself,
Yeah.
right? So, it's just a matter of what we say to ourselves, and how we talk to ourselves. And you can manifest greatness, or you can manifest not so much greatness. It's your choice.
I have dry erase markers, and I write on my mirror, and I have every month I have a different affirmation that I write on the mirror, and it's kind of fun because if you steam up the bathroom it like looks really cool on the mirror. But it's something that I say while I'm brushing my teeth. It's just that's the affirmation that I pick. I have affirmations on my YouTube channel as well because I think it's so important, especially if people have had a negative past where it's like they don't feel good enough, or they don't feel like they can do things, or they didn't have the support to go in and change that. And like you said, like high five yourself. You have to like pump yourself up. I think a lot of times from what I've witnessed is with people wanting to get better, they don't have anybody cheering them on, and they
Mhm.
feel like they're doing the work and nobody's noticing. I had lost 100 pounds in a year, and nobody noticed until like 50 or 60 pounds were gone. And I think that kind of got slightly discouraging because I was like, is nobody noticing this hard work? But it
Right.
was me that was noticing. And um, I think that that is important. We have to um, give ourselves the credit and the pep talks and talk to ourselves. You had said something earlier too, with like the whole diabetes things and what our parents have. And it's crazy how um, it's the mindset of people talking about how like, oh, my parents had diabetes or they have chronic illnesses. I actually had a friend yesterday that said the same thing to me and was like, they have to go in for like more testing or whatever. And they're like, oh, I probably have it. My parents have it. And I'm like, that just because your parents, like my dad had 2 heart attacks, I'm not planning on having 2 heart attacks. Like just because it's like family history doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. And I see that so much, especially with my clients. They'll come in and be like, oh, I don't like myself about this. Like I have scars because I had to have, you know, bowel or gut surgery, and like instantly they're like, yeah, my mother had it, so I was bound to get it. And I don't think that obviously there are things that take DNA and everything, but I honestly think we can reverse that, because just because you have that gene doesn't mean that that's when it automatically give you that, unless you're manifesting it.
Yeah, and I think that we all have the opportunity to live a healthy lifestyle. And, you know, I certainly wasn't brought up eating the foods that I eat now. And it's nothing bad against my parents or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, growing up, Kraft macaroni and cheese and SpaghettiOs were something that was in my house,
Mm-hmm.
and not a lot of fresh produce. And, I mean, but part of it is it's just we've learned more since then. All of these foods are still available, but I can guarantee you that people eat them less and less now because we've been more educated as a community on how we can eat better. And so there's really no excuse just to be able, just to, in my opinion, because I'm pretty much like in your face type of coach. If somebody says that to me, I'm like, no, I mean, you're just basically making an excuse
Mm-hmm.
not to live the best life that you can. So don't make the excuses and put in the work and do what you need to do if it's important to you. If it's not important to you, then that's okay too. That's your choice, right? But obviously the people I talk to, it's important to them because they're talking to, potentially work with me. So but yeah, it's all about the mindset, Jocelyn. It truly is. If once you get the mind right, everything else will just fall into place.
Also, I wonder sometimes too how, like you said about the mac and cheese, like you have macaroni and cheese in your house. So when you get out of your house and then you have your own home, you buy the macaroni and cheese because that's what you've known. But like there is repetitive habits that people are doing. Like, did your parents drink pop excessively? So you drink pop excessively, and then you wonder why you have thyroid issues. Like, there's so many different things that are preventable, but we're taught at it, that like you have to like flip the script.
Mhm.
My parents were business owners and worked full time, multiple jobs. My dad was always gone and stuff. So they were really busy, and my mom owned a bakery. So like there were so many different things with food around it. And just in the last 10 years of my life, I have gone down like a relearning phase. And it's so weird because I'm like, I'll get on Pinterest for recipes, and like I subscribe to yours, so I see those recipes and whatnot. But it's crazy because I'm like, I don't think I would ever eat that. And I'm like, that's because you never tried it. And I had to go gluten free for almost 3 years. And luckily, I figured out it was gut health issues, and I've since fixed that. And I was like super excited. I was like, oh my God, I get to eat gluten again. And I was terrified because I didn't
Mhm.
want to have a reaction or whatnot. But it's funny because now I'm about 6 months eating gluten again, and I still buy gluten-free things because my brain just doesn't like the processed. I can taste the fake things in our food now. And it's made me more aware. And I think it's just, there are so many people, and I know that you could probably agree with this, that they're like, January 1st, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna drink the gallon of water, I'm gonna
Right.
exercise, I'm gonna eat healthy, and then they mess up one day and they're like, this is too difficult. I know firsthand myself, like you said, the sleeping patterns. I sleep like utter shit. Like that has been a problem of mine since my hysterectomy. And I've actively trying to set timers every night. Like you have to go to bed. Like calm your brain down, put your phone away. And the adjustment is so frustrating and is so awkward. But I know that it's going to be beneficial to me later. And I think like the mindset part of that is the hardest part about all of it.
It absolutely is. And, that's why I decided to really take that aspect on. And over the past 2 years, do all of my continuing education in the mindset and in the wellness coaching arena that deals with just getting your mind right. It is probably one of the hardest things that my clients do with me because we're just so programmed to be the way we've always been and to not change, and society, like looking around and comparing and never feeling that you're going to be as good or successful as anybody else. And what did they say, the thief of joy is comparison? What does
Hmm.
that say? um
I know what quote you're talking about, but I don't know the whole quote.
right. But to literally change the way you talk to yourself, and it's an everyday thing. It's a very hard one. Thing that I've learned helps is journaling, and I know you're a huge journaler because you still sell your journals on Amazon, don't you?
Yep.
um
Gratitude and blank ones.
yeah, you'll have to send me a link to yours, because then when my coaching clients need them, I can refer them to yours.
Yeah, I'll put them in the show notes too.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because that is a huge, huge thing that's helped my clients, because when you put pen to paper, your thoughts and your feelings, there's something about putting pen to paper that makes it real.
Hmm.
It, and it can be good, it can be bad, and you're allowed to talk about the bad, but whenever you focus on the good conditionally over and over again, it will change that mindset that you're going to get up in the morning and you're actually going to want to eat better. You're going to want to exercise because you're going to just, you wrote in your journal that morning about how good you felt yesterday
Hmm.
when you worked out and you ate well, like you felt so good. And I tell people, you want to feel that way every day, right?
Yeah.
And then those good habits. And so you write down how you felt, and then you read about it the next week. You go back in your journal, I had a good day that day, and you can read the words that you wrote. Those aren't somebody else's words, they were your thoughts at that moment.
Hmm.
And they're going to matter more than any self-help book that you could ever read. We need to give ourselves that love and that attention and the affection that we expect from the people closest to us in our lives. And so frequently we don't give ourselves that self-love. So journaling.
So important. I have a journal. I think I started it in 2020, might have been 2021, but I went and got a white notebook. It's not even one of my journals, but I prayed over it and I keep it in a completely different space than all my other journals. And anytime I'm angry or I have negative thoughts or something's bothering me, I just go and journal it and like tried to leave it where it's at. And then if I need to rip it out and throw it away, or if I go back and I'm like, see, it didn't matter. Like you worried about this for nothing. And now it's a month later and it meant nothing. And then I just take it out and rip it. So I keep it different from my journal. It's kind of just like my I have a note on it. It says like, do not read, throw away upon my death. Like I have a legit like angry, like I'm mad that somebody treated me this way, or like I'm mad at myself kind of thing, or just things that like keep you up at night when you're like, why am I worrying about something what somebody said to me in seventh grade? Like just random thoughts that are just kind of self-doubt or self-hate or failure, all of that too. And I think like journaling is, people always are like, I don't know what to write, or I like, it's a crazy process, but it doesn't need to be like, well, today I ran 5 miles and I had a granola bar for lunch. Like it can just literally be like, today the world felt heavy. And I think that's such an important thing to get out on paper. And like my mom is like not anti-journaling, but she just doesn't like to write. And she's always like, I don't want somebody else to read my thoughts. And I'm like, then literally put a note on it that just says throw it away. Like if somebody would find it. But I also love the fact that when I a long, long time from now do pass away, people are going to find gratitude journals for years. Like I've been doing gratitude journals for 7 years. So I like have them stacked on a bookshelf. And like how wonderful is that that they're gonna find all these things that I was grateful for every day. Like
Well,
I mean, I it's
mhm.
we're just putting that out in the universe of things that we're thankful for.
And along that line, you're allowed to be pissed off too. Like, that's
Hmm.
one thing, you know, obviously I have a very positive presence for the most part, for my followers on social media, but I'm also pretty real, and the people that truly follow me and know who I am, very similar to you, if I'm going to get pissy, it's not that I'm complaining, but it matters enough that I'm going to talk about it,
Yep.
right? That doesn't mean I'm being negative.
Yep.
It means something off of my chest in a social situation and environment, because I am a human being. I am real. And, I'm not saying that everybody needs to put their shit out on, social media. That's not it either. But um, I think it's very smart to, when you are having a bad day, and if you need to journal it, or maybe you need to make it more public, that is also a way to refresh yourself and get it out, not holding stuff in. That's
Hmm.
extremely to hold in negativity on. You need to talk things through with people. Sometimes people can give you an insight and have you look at the situation differently than you're looking at it yourself. But I always tell people, don't unpack your bags and stay there.
Yep.
Get it out. Do not unpack your bags and stay there, staying in that situation in that moment. Get it out, but then move on. And
And
I
it,
think journaling is about, you're moving on, but you're getting it out.
I think that that is one of the things that I have started remembering too with working out is like when I went to boxing, if I was angry about something, I would just, take it out in the workout. And I forgot that. And it's been such a great feeling to do that when I work out because you just kind of like push yourself a little bit harder. And it's more productive than sitting down and eating a candy bar or watching TV. And it's more rewarding after.
Yeah,
It's a
or get somebody and punching somebody in the grocery store because you didn't get any frustrations out, right?
Yeah, I think that that's what is one of the things that I think what you're doing is so great is like you're focusing on the bigger picture, no pun intended as a photographer, but you can't have you can't be strong and fit and not do the other parts of it. No different than you can't be like, I got 8 hours of sleep, I'm restful. If it wasn't 8 hours of restful sleep, then you're not restful. Like
Right.
I can function sometimes super well on 5 to 6 hours of sleep, where some of my other friends can't. I'm like, that became my normal, but there are times when I sleep 8 hours and I'm exhausted. So like you have to figure out what's best for you, but they all go together. One of the things, and this is totally off topic, but I've noticed in the medical fields, especially with like endometriosis, they've tied endometriosis to reproductive health, but they're realizing that it's affecting other parts of the body. So there are doctors that are literally focusing on overall health, like are you having eye problems? Are you having headaches? Because they're realizing that those organs are not just a separate entity. Instead of us going to a gastrologist or going to an OBGYN or going to a brain specialist, they're realizing that our whole body's connected, and
Mm.
our whole health and wellness is that, and our gut and our mindset are tied together. And those are important things too. Like I try to never eat when I'm angry because it's going to bother my stomach. So like
Right.
head gut connection, and I think you
Mhm.
do such a great job about that. I don't know if there's any other um health leaders that I know that focus so much on mindset, and I think that's great that you do that. What are some little tips that you can give to people to help them be more productive during their day with taking their health into consideration?
Yeah, little things. If you're on a call and, a conference call for work or something, put in your earbuds, I think they're called, like the
Here.
AirPods, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and just walk around. right? Just walk around while you're on a call. Little things while you're brushing your teeth, do some squats, do some lunges, break down. And with my kids, we'll just like, okay, push up contest, let's go. Right? Like, how
Well,
many
that's
can you do?
fun.
Yeah, I mean, and any little thing that you can do, just bring some movement and activity into your day. Um, and just always try to at least get some form of fresh air, though. It doesn't matter. Just even if it's chilly out, go sit outside 5 minutes, breathe in. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of houses around me where I live, and I can just get some peace and some serene for 5 minutes out of my day. And but it's just these little things that start to add up over time, and they become habits. I carry my water around with me all the time. It's always with me, and it's always there, and just taking a drink of water. Like, these little things are truly the things that matter when you just start doing them on a day-to-day basis habitually, and you're not even thinking about it anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There was a TikToker last year that she got dumped, and she said every time that she wanted to text him or call him or missed him, she would make herself do 10 push-ups. And now she's like so far into her fitness journey. And like, it's so incredible how she took such a negative and turned it to a positive. And
Absolutely.
it's really funny because there's been times when I'm like, I should do a push up for that instead of thinking about that. And like you said, it's just a little tiny adjustments. I used to actually work in corporate world, and we had um, a huge wellness program where we did competitions to see how many people could get how many steps in a month. And I was very, very active at that point, and we had squat challenges. And I would brush my teeth and squat. And people are like, "How are you getting these squats in?" I'm like, "Well, when there's nobody in the elevator, I'm doing squats. When I'm brushing my teeth, I'm doing squats."
Right.
But it was such a competitive thing for me because I wanted to win. But it was
Right.
also the results that I was seeing with myself, and I felt so much better. I know one of the biggest struggles I have is making time. Like, I went real hard on arms the day before yesterday, and yesterday I had to edit. So like every time I moved my arms to edit, I was like, "Oh my God, that hurts so bad." And then I was like, "That's gonna look so much better." Like, I had to switch my mindset to go like, what is it? No pain, no gain, or whatever the whole lie they
Right.
told us in the 90s. But like, it was good that I knew that I had done the work, and with a small bit of suffering, it's gonna be bigger rewards. But I just kind of have to like push myself to get a little bit better each time. And it's the little things. Like,
It really is.
I was talking to somebody recently about how statistically they said that Americans have gotten more lazy over the last several decades. And I was like, well, we have so much more technology, because everybody seems to think like lazy equals jobs. And I don't think that's always the case. I think people come home from jobs and are tired, and then they sit. I canceled my Netflix, and someone's like, "Oh my God, why?" And I was like, "Well, spring's coming, and I leave it on when I work when I'm at home, but I'm going to be working outside of home." And so like just little adjustments like that where you can get on the treadmill. My treadmill is in front of my TV. I don't have a couch. So like if I want to watch TV in my living room, I just get on the treadmill, or even TikTok, just kind of scrolling while I walk.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how like I have like an Alexa, and she turns on everything for me. And I'm like, you know what? I wonder how many steps I would get in if I got up and turned off the light myself. Like, we have made so many different things that are easy for us, but it's just being harder on our own physical body. So like you said, the smaller adjustments make just a huge difference.
Absolutely. And again, it comes down to creating habits. And the best way to create habits is just, it's all mindset. It's just doing it until you don't even realize that you're doing it anymore. It's just, that's how you wake up in the morning, and you pour a glass of water first. And then it's just, you do that enough times that it just becomes habitual. So then it's not hard to get up and go to the gym in the morning, because that's just what you do 4 or 5 days a week, right?
Mhm.
That's where we go and what happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have always been a night owl, and everyone's always like, you got to get up at like 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning. And like, I know some people that get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I do better at night. And I think that that was one of the hard mindsets that I had to break for my own self is that my workouts are more productive at night. And that's what works for me. But I think like some of my friends, their workouts are so much better for them in the morning. And we get so programmed, I think, of like, well, Sally's doing it, I must do it that way. And it's just what works for you.
Right.
Um, and it's such a battle, but it's also so rewarding. Um,
And I mean, and it comes down to the person as well, because what I run into, like we start our classes at 5:30 in the morning. And so people can get in, before they have to go to their work. And then, that runs all morning through about till 10:30. Um, but have always been, and this is my personal belief, and the people that I've worked with over the years, I think it's more true that getting your workout in early is more beneficial to most people, because without that strong mindset, you're going to talk yourself out of it throughout the day. You're going to get started in your day. You're going to get tired. Something's going to pop up. Someone's going to invite you to happy hour. And then the next thing you know, you're not going to work out after you get off work at
I could
5 o'clock.
totally see that. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've tried to embed into my clients' heads. Like, if nothing else, you get up at 5 in the morning and you just don't have the time to talk yourself out of it.
That makes
And
sense.
that's our busiest time of day. So, but again, some people do better in the evening.
Mm.
Primarily, all except for one day at my studio, our evenings are typically yoga classes, more of a kind of a wind down. That's kind of what we offer. But that's my business model, and whatever works for each individual person is what they should do.
Yeah. I have my outfit this morning when I left. I always make my bed every morning and I have my workout outfit out and I have all of my stuff to go to the gym. And I think it's my like thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say that that won't switch? When I was at boxing, we definitely did morning classes there, but it's hard being a business owner and having different appointments and um, just juggling all of it. I don't know how people do it with kids. But it's the superheroes is all I can think about is I'm like, how do they do all of that? But photographers
That's,
are
that's a
notorious
whole
night owls. What was that?
that's a whole podcast for another day, right?
Yeah. I think photographers are notorious night owls, especially for editing because it's darker. And I think a lot of the people that I talk to with our industry, it's easier for us to work out because we're on a flipped schedule. And I've been trying to not do that this year. And I'm sure there are people that are watching going, oh my gosh, yes, because it's just difficult because I don't want to have my arms hurting all day long trying to hold a camera and study. And, there's just different things that go into play, but I can definitely see why people would talk themselves out of it. I actually had a friend that invited me out Friday night and she's like, we're going out here, blah, 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 7:30. And I was like, I'm going to the gym. And she's like, no problem, next time. And there was like a little bit of just like, I turned down plans so I could take care of myself. And it made me feel good that I like at the gym, I didn't have like a fear of missing out, but I was just like, I hope they're having fun, even
Right.
though I'm not there. But I can definitely see how somebody would be like, I should just go and have fun and not go to a workout. So I could see how that would be
Mhm.
beneficial for sure to do that in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to tell us about today?
I think we pretty much covered everything from start to finish. It was good to catch up with you a bit and to talk shop. I'm glad that both of our businesses are going well, and it's always good to talk with you.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's always nice talking with you too. And hopefully we can have you on a future podcast episode and check in with you. Is there anything that, any quotes or any advice from your own wheelhouse of a affirmation or anything that you want to leave our listeners today?
I'll tell you my favorite affirmation, and the one that I typically wake up to every day and tell myself is, I am enough.
Love it.
That that if you just tell yourself that every single day, you will start to feel that way. So I am enough.
I love it. How can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Debbie Reichert Fitness and the Health Pyramid, and pretty much Facebook, same things.
Awesome. I'll put your links down in the show notes. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good one.